Rome did not fall in the year 476. That's just a year historians pick because a boy emperor lost his throne and nobody put another one in his place. The real ending happened earlier and slower, in places no chronicle bothered to record. In a marketplace where a coin stopped buying what it used to, on a farm where the pottery got rougher, on a road that stopped getting fixed. Tonight, we're going to walk through how the largest, richest economy of the ancient world came apart, piece by ordinary piece. Before you settle in, if you're enjoying this late night histories, a like and a subscribe genuinely helps this little channel keep going. And while you're getting comfortable, let me know in the comments where in the world you're listening from and what time it is right now for you. I love picturing the different corners of the world that drift off today's episodes together. Now go ahead and dim the lights and let's ease into tonight's journey together. From close to 2 centuries, the Roman economy ran on something simple, that is, trust. A silver coin called the denarius moved across the whole empire, from Britain to Egypt, and people accepted it without a second thought, the way you'd accept your own currency today. Grain from Egypt fed the city of Rome on a shipping schedule almost as reliable as a modern one. Pottery made in Gaul shows up today in old rubbish pits as far as Scotland. It was not a fair world. Plenty of it ran on the labor of the enslaved. And most people lived modestly at best, but it was for the first time remarkably connected. Then, across the 3rd century, emperor after emperor made the same decision. That is, put a little less real silver into every coin to cover cost the empire could not otherwise afford. It was not one crisis. It was a habit, repeated for decades. They just make bread cost a little more every year until nobody remembers what a trustworthy coin even felt like. While the money was failing, the people who ran Rome's towns were being crushed by something just as slow. Local councillors personally guaranteed their district's taxes, and as imperial cost kept climbing, that guarantee became a trap. Roman law had to forbid this man over and over from resigning their posts or fleeing their towns to escape it. A law repeated that many times isn't a formality, it's a confession. It's proof that people kept trying to run. Down at the farms, the same pressure closed off a different kind of freedom. Tenant farmers, once free to leave a bad landlord, were bound by law to the land they worked, generation after generation. Because a farmer tied to one field was a farmer the tax collector could actually find. None of this made headlines because there were no headlines. It shows up instead in the ground. Archaeologists watch fine, well-thrown Roman pottery vanish from the soil across Britain and Gaul sometime in the 5th century, replaced by rough, hand-shaped pieces made at home because the workshops that once supplied whole regions were simply gone. Cattle bones from the same period get smaller too, since the organized breeding that Roman trade once supported had fallen apart. and cattle would not return to their old size for close to 1,000 years. An economic collapse still legibly today in the length of a cow's leg bone. Historians don't fully agree on how to read this. Some see it as genuine collapse. Others argue Rome didn't so much die as change shape. Its law and its habits carrying forward into what replaced it. Both are probably a little true, and it's an honest, ongoing debate rather than a settled fact. Layered underneath all of this were waves of disease, thinning the population right as the empire needed more farmers, more taxpayers, more soldiers than ever. It was never one collapse, it was several slow crises arriving on top of each other. By the time Odoacer deposed the last Western emperor in 476, the world this story describes had already been unraveling for over a century. Rome didn't vanish. Its law, its language, its administrative habits carried on inside the kingdoms that followed, inside the church, inside Latin as it slowly turned into the languages still spoken across Europe today. What genuinely broke was the machine, the coin based long distance trade that once moved pottery hundreds of miles and fed an entire capital city by ship, that would not be rebuilt at the same scale for thousands of years. So, if there's one thing that worth carrying out of tonight's short journey, it's this: Rome didn't fall to one battle or one bad emperor, it fell to a coin that stopped being trusted, a tax system that crushed the people running everyday town life, farmers slowly bound to their land, a population thinned by disease, and a trade network that shrank workshop by workshop until the pottery in the ground got rougher and nobody was left to write down why. That's where we will leave it for tonight. Sleep well.